Oh, shit. Hi, friends. Hold on. Yo, what a happy Friday. Hold on. I think I need to bring you up. Oh, are you on stage, Adam?
Oh, I had it. Now I don't have it. Now I got it again. There we go.
GM friends, another wonderful Friday. Man, how funny is it that literally every time we get off this show, something crazy happens? We got the show last week and ETH Scriptions pops
Was it
up.
Literally last week? Oh my God. It feels like 10 years ago, dude.
We literally got off the show, listened to or saw, I think his name's Tom, right? The guy who created it. I don't know for sure. He put that proposal out and we started listening to the space. And then we're like, hey, we can build a curated collection for this and support the ecosystem. And the rest is history, right? Is exactly the same as the Bitcoin Ordinals. Remember, we had the show. There was one vaulted in February. We got off the show and all of a sudden there was hundreds happening. And just kickstarted, and this is going the same exact direction as it was before. So what a wonderful time to be alive. We'll dive into that here in a second, but I want to say GM to Dogfather first, man. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm fine, guys. I'm fine. Enjoying this week. I mean, another crazy week. Not just inscriptions, but also bitmap and a couple of other things really going through the roof. So it will be an awesome show again.
It's going to be a very big show. Actually, for everyone who's here, make sure you reshare this. Drop a comment in the bottom right there. We have some very, very big announcements today. Probably the biggest announcements in Emblem history, if I'm going to be completely honest here. Oh yeah, so a lot going on today's show. So make sure that everyone could be here and hear the announcements. Ethord, man, GM bro, how's it going?
Morning, good. Excited for another Hoarder's Corner, and especially to hear this announcement. I know you guys been teasing it the last 2 weeks, and I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, we actually got two in store, but we'll start off with ETH Scriptions, man. What a wonderful time! What a crazy thing this is. So as of today, and I'll pull this up here on the screen in a second. We're about 1,600 unique owners on the curated collection, approaching 500 ETH in total volume. It's been crazy building this, but probably the most flawless execution so far we've done for a curated collection. I'm still working out some of the kinks, but of course, the first thing to set it off is Ethereum pugs. What are your thoughts on this, Adam? Punk all the way down the board.
It's literally like people have these saved on their, on their hard drives. They just immediately bulk mint, all the rares, all the everything. I mean, it's just we're monkeys at the core, and we just do the same thing again and again. Obviously, this is just what people do, and people are ready for it now. I was going to put out a tweet a little later today, just talking about the way humans learn these things, right? So we saw what happened on Ordinals, and then stamps and all these others, and people are ready for it now. And so the moment it was ready, and you could mint these things for whatever 60, 70 cents, people just, by the time I heard about it, I think you might have pinged me or somebody pinged me like, what's going on here? Bro, all 10,000 had minted out in like 3 hours or 4 hours or some crazy thing. It's just amazing. And you combine this super low price point with on-chain storage, which is obviously kind of Ordinals has those all top of mind. And it's crazy. And of course now we're into the ERC20s. It's literally, you can't make this insanity up. It's literally insane.
Of course it was going to happen. I put a tweet out and I said, when are we going to get ERC20 inscriptions? I was kind of hoping that they were going to call it BRC20 to kind of flip the table on them. But what turns out here is that inscriptions are actually not new. Maybe the name and the solidification of the protocol, but the first one was actually created back in 2016. Dare we say a historical digital asset of some sort?
Yeah, I'll pin that up top. I did a little tweet about it just because it was kind of funny and cool. And it's like, I think I tweeted, it was like, it took 7 years to mint the first 10 and 7 days to mint the next 160,000 or something. Very, very cool little history to it.
Yeah, this tweet blew up here. I have Middle March's tweet up here, introducing e-scriptions, a new way of creating and sharing digital artifacts on Ethereum using transaction call data. To me, it reminds me a little bit more of Bitcoin stamps than it does actually inscriptions. But I guess for the branding purposes, here we are. They had the same decentralized mint. And when we stumbled across it, it was funny. One of my buddies had sent me this when it was at around like 1,000 ETH scribed. And I was like, nah, this is dumb. And then a second person sent it to me and it was at 2,000. I was like, all right, this is dumb, but
wait, when you hear this is dumb, immediately go ape it. That.
So that's what I did.
You went against your gut again, dude. Again, generational wealth. Again.
Yeah, I probably could have got a lot. And you know what's funny here too, and all our history nerds will appreciate it. There's the same, like maybe 20 to 30 historical NFT people are always the first to these. Yeah. And I saw the same faces pop up. I saw like Virtual Alaska and Obi and some of the early people. And I was like, all right, there's something here. So I'm just going to start aping it. And then we got in contact with Middle March and he gave us the API access and the rest is history. Dogfather, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, on Counterparty, you had the same thing, like people like JP Jensen with Olga, they were already using the same technique as the stamp guys were doing many years later. The same on Dogecoin. They also have some people doing base 64, stamp type of mints many years before. So that's like not uncommon, but this was too early and people were not really going on that because now we know from Ordinals that this is a thing. Everyone is trying to do the same and jump on the train. And you don't need much, and people know this. The first things will have some value. The aliens will have some value. These are no-brainers, but everyone is doing that. But in 2016, nobody got the concept. Nobody understood it.
Yeah, storing it in the call data. I don't completely even understand it. Sometimes I just let smarter people do it. But we're aping it, and it's been Man, setting this up and satisfying all the community's needs. It's funny. You try to satisfy whatever everyone wants, right? They want the collection data tags. They want Ethereum punks. You want rocks, right? Everyone wants a collection. So then we had to create a repository. And then you add the supplies, right? You're like, oh, this sounds right. I'm at 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million. And then you post that. And then Twitter, there's a bunch of Twitter memers who are up in flux. And they're like, Emblem is gamifying it. They're making it now a shit coin. And you're like, dude, I'm just giving people what they want, man. I don't know. They started throwing around the word history. I was like, no one's using the word history here. It's just you guys that are just annoyed by it. Freedom to gamify, freedom to transact too. That's all I got to say there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. It's like the idea that we're doing anything but supporting new innovation on blockchains is like, what else is there, man? What are we here for, dude? Are we trying to build a crypto future or not, dude? And if we're not, if we all want to just live in, 2017, forget it. Nobody's going to care about your crypto assets if crypto doesn't grow to be something incredible. And that's what we're here to support. And are these things incredible? Most are not, right? Do I think the brand new ERC20s are going to be a winner? Probably not. But who knows? Frankly, who knows, right? I know for a fact 99% of the people in crypto were calling Rare Pepe's BS back in the day, right? And that has changed, and it only changed through adoption over time. And so we don't think you are smart enough, I'm smart enough, or anybody in the world is smart enough to pick what's going to be the most important thing right now. So yeah, I'm happy to support it, man. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and if anyone is in the crowd wants to come up and talk about e-scriptions or just join the conversation, just send a request up. More than happy to have everyone join. Also, make sure they share the space so everyone can hear about e-scriptions. I did see that it looks like Middle March has set up his spaces for later today, so he'll be giving out more information. It's quite funny, right? So once people start making money and you start seeing all these like requests to protect people's bags, they're like, I got a request, I kid you not, 100 supply, which I think we're going to add 500 supply tag. Somebody wanted a 20,000, a 25,000, an 80,000, 150,000. People want all these like supply tags so that they can trade and protect their bags. And I'm like, dude, this is like, I get gamifying it and some of this, but just to fill just to satisfy your bags for these most like obscure numbers, you try to keep it round as possible. But you can never appease everyone. So I'm trying to I think, who's this? John's been I'm hitting approve. Oh, there we go. I don't know why it's not, is it glitching? I don't know. There is an error adding John as a guest. Oh, he might be on the desktop or something. Yeah, so where do we go from here, I guess, is like a big question. There's like a few things you can do, at least from the Emblem side, right? A native marketplace is going to pop up. I think it was the Ethereum Apes or somebody said they were going to do it. Also, Middle March said that he was going to build one as well, right? So, but there's
at least one more, maybe 3 guys working on marketplaces right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is cool, right? I mean, that's the next point of this ecosystem of how it has to grow. The thing is it's probably first complicated to do, but once they build it, it's going to be it doesn't interact with the rest of the Ethereum ecosystem. It doesn't react with DeFi. It doesn't interact with OpenSea, right? Because it's not a ERC 721. So the next growth point for Emblem is to help the ETH-scription ecosystem interact with the rest of the Ethereum ecosystem that's standardized until these other marketplaces adopt it, right? Like, you're not going to see Binance or these centralized exchanges adopt anything until there's like a substantial amount of growth. Or maybe I'm completely wrong and you see Aave pop up and they said, hey, we're just going to add support for e-scriptions so you don't have to use an ERC 20 or 721 token to interact with this. I hope that's the protocol, but as we've seen that these things grow, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I talked with Middle March on a Twitter space, and he was hopeful that they could build some language that would basically enable smart contracts to send, send the ETH inscriptions, because right now they could, in theory, if they could receive them, but there's somehow not language for them to send them because it's not recognized. Call data is not recognized. So, it's possible, that this gets figured out and, you're trading ETH inscriptions natively on OpenSea. That's a possibility. I think there's just some tech to be worked out to actually figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's gonna be quite a long time. John,
become the dominant NFTs, bro. How crazy would that be, man?
That would be a plot. That'd be a plot twist. They just completely and then they the biggest meme would be if they end up having more trading volume than Bitcoin ordinals at some point. That would be the best meme possible. We did bring John HQ on stage, who's one of the mods for the eScriptions official Discord, who's been helping out a lot, and also launched Scribes, which was one of the first, I guess, unique art collections on eScriptions, at least that I've seen. So how's it going, bro?
Going pretty well. Yeah, you guys were really great to work with at Emblem Vault. So I really appreciate what you guys have managed to do in so quick of a period of time too.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we've been getting a lot better with our technology to be able to integrate this. But tell us a little bit from your side. What's it like managing this Discord of eScription degens, and kind of like what are you seeing in there?
Yeah. So right now we're sitting at about 1,500 people, which is about where I expect it to be. But we're growing a couple hundred people every day. It's growing quickly, so we're actually just getting to the size where we're seeing more scammers in the Discord. So always double check who you're talking to. If Jake DMs you, it might be a scammer. You never know.
Oh boy, I heard about that last night. I went out for sushi last night and then got a bunch of messages from people asking if I was messaging them. I was like, nope, not me. Pain in the ass.
It's the good news is with the new Discord username update, it's a little bit easier to see the impersonators. The bad news is people who have L's in their username like you tend to get impersonated a lot more.
Yeah.
It took me a second to figure out what it was. I was like looking at it, and you start looking at the name, and boy, it looked the same. But then I saw like, oh, the 3 L's or something.
Yeah.
3
L's. John, what's your opinion on this ERC20, or I guess you call it ETH inscriptions, ERC20, right? Or we'll call it EERC20. I don't know. I saw you guys just opened up a channel in the Discord so that people can OTC these. What are you seeing over there?
The Chinese community seems to love them. I personally am not a huge fan. I don't really think ERC20 on eScriptions makes a whole lot of sense. Like, you have a smart contract, you can use the smart contract to track token balances. It's not that much more expensive. I just don't think the cost savings are there to make ERC20 work. But what those crazy degens have done unlocks something that I think is pretty cool, which is instead of ERC20 doing ERC721, which I'm going to actually be releasing something for free using ERC721 soon. Which really the sum of it is, instead of using a smart contract to manage the metadata of an NFT with a link to a URI, if you just put that all into call data, you could do a much cheaper NFT launch with a much higher resolution image, which I think is just kind of cool.
No, tell me about that. Go into a little more detail there so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so basically the way that NFTs work on Ethereum, currently the legacy NFTs, is you launch a smart contract.
Dude, did you just call NFTs the legacy one is now a legacy NFT? Bro, this is
2023, man. We're moving forward.
Moving on, bro. Moving on. New tech.
So you make the smart contract. You tell the smart contract, hey, I want you to track these token balances, right? And when you own an NFT, you basically just own this token, right? And you go to the smart contract and you're like, hey, who owns this? And it will reply, you do. To actually display the art of the NFT, you ask the smart contract, like, hey, what does my token look like? And it responds back with, here's a link to go and see what all the metadata is. There are some NFTs that are actually on-chain, which are cooler, but they're way more expensive, which is why a lot of the time people don't really do them. So a lot of the time, like your Bored Ape is going to link to an IPFS link. So with ERC 721s, if you use this exact same protocol that the BRC 721 people did, they have a really nice protocol guide on GitHub. What you essentially are embedding is just that metadata request, which links to a JSON file that has all the information about what your NFT is. And if you do that, you kind of get the best of both worlds, right? You get hosting on IPFS, so you can host as big of an image as you want, and you get really, really super cheap minting costs through Eatscription. So I think it's kind of an interesting marriage of the two.
Wow, I don't even know what to think about it at this point. I'm excited to see. So what is the project? Can you tease what you'll be launching alongside that?
So with Scribes, I had to do really, really tiny generative art. So it was really just generative pixel art. For this new project, I'm going to be doing just a small collection for Scribes holders primarily. It's just going to be free. And they're just going to be bigger images of generative art just to showcase, you know, how an ERC 721 works.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm a Scribes holder, so I'll be definitely dabbling in that. Excited. It's funny because of all these metas. It's like people complain about Bitcoin ordinals kind of borrowing concepts and ideas, right, from Ethereum to bring to Bitcoin, and now it's like they're kind of now Eatscriptions is borrowing kind of like the metas, because you could already see how it's unfolded. So there's like, hey, I'm just gonna borrow what worked over there, even though Bitcoin borrowed what was working over on Ethereum. But now Ethereum, it's like this sub meta, right? It's like I don't even know if it's, you call it like a layer. It's like less than a layer one even, or I guess more layer one, right? It's like layer 1.5. I don't even know. But it's, you start thinking about all these metas that had happened on ordinals, right? So I threw a tweet out and I was like, when .eth map, right? Like the bitmap trend. It's just like, you just know it. And actually somebody messaged me and asked me if they'd seen that pop up already. So you just know.
I saw the .eth names, you know, the new ENS. It's like, dude, come on, you know, it's
.gwei, I feel like would be the best one. I haven't inscribed any of them or Eatscribed any of them, but .gwei I feel like is probably the hitter. I don't know what it actually is. I don't know what everyone's running on though.
Man, my head's spinning, man.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see where it goes. A lot of people are quite interested with it. Once we get past the ETH punks meta, hopefully at some point we're considering moving ETH punks over to like a curated collection of its own. Not immediately, because that's still some technical stuff that we have to work through, but seems like that might be another option. But seeing some of these other collections, unique collections that are just from Eatscriptions is good to see. And not just the copy pastas of Pepe's and Rocks, although those were the first two.
Always the first. It's funny. I was thinking to myself, like, when's the and I actually minted some because I thought it was a good idea, but apparently nobody else agrees with me. But I was like, when are they gonna start grabbing, you know, the Bitcoin native ones and pull them over? And you can't do the frogs because they're too big. You can't do like the Byte Perfect frogs, but is it Pixel Pepes? I can't remember.
Pepes, yep.
Pixel Pepes are small enough. And I was like, so I minted like whatever, 15 maybe of those. I was like, this is cool. Because when are when's ETH crowd gonna, you know, take back, you know, because, you know, the punks have been stolen or and the apes have been stolen. Why not pull the you know, Bitcoin native ones, the ordinal native ones, and make them the Ethereum version? But I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. I'm expecting it to eventually though.
Go ahead, Ethord.
Yeah, this whole thing is just Groundhog's Day all over again. I feel like if you've ridden the ride, you know what to do. But I had a question. So, and you guys know all this so much more than me, so I may be totally off here. But Ordinals obviously changed the game, and it had to happen with what SegWit changed, right? And then Eatscriptions is pretty much doing what Ordinals did on Bitcoin, but on ETH. And then we found out that the first Eatscription was actually in 2016. So then Ordinals is actually copying Ethereum and not vice versa.
Well, the Ordinals guys will tell you, like I've heard Casey say many times, Ordinals could have been done from day one. It's just a matter of, you know, developing the the idea around it and having the kind of meta protocol level, like that whole the idea about it. But yeah, certainly e-scriptions could be done. I believe call data has always been there. So maybe the first time it was used was 2016, but I'm pretty sure it's been there the whole time. But correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, call data has been there the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the thing to keep in mind about these scriptions, right? Like the thing that makes it a little bit different is with the traditional NFT contract, like I was talking about before, you'd go to the NFT contract and you'd ask, you know, who owns what token ID, and the contract kept track of that, and that caused a little bit of expense. With this, we're doing all of that tracking off chain, so that's
Right.
where the indexer comes in. And that's why there's a little bit of cost savings, is because you just submit things to the chain and then you figure out who owns what afterwards.
Yep. Yep.
So to say that the first e-scription was in 2016 is not really fully accurate in my opinion, because there wasn't an indexer, there wasn't a protocol where everyone was accepting that we were going to track these things, right?
Yep.
It was just the first upload of data at that point.
Exactly. Yep.
You still got to acknowledge the early ones, though. We've learned this through the historical space that not everything fits in a perfect or complete box, especially when it comes to the primitives of the whatever the protocol is that goes to the mainstream. And that's
if you actually look at that first one too, I'm pretty sure, like I looked at his transaction data, and I think he was fiddling around with a smart contract that would let you do something similar to this with call data, which is
interesting,
kind of cool to see.
Yeah, there's probably a lot more of these kind of sitting out there, of these like individuals or in the early days of Ethereum just tinkering around with different types of storage and protocols. That'll probably pop up some point here in the near future. We see this consistently as we're all kind of historical NFT nerds. The progression of what an NFT is, right? From Namecoin to Bitcoin to Ethereum, of how that progresses over time. I'm sure you'll probably see some other things like this as well. I saw actually somebody else was tweeting about this. It might have been Fubar or somebody, that there's actually other ways to store data on Ethereum outside of the call data way.
Inu Arashi made a tweet thread about it. I don't know if that's the one you're thinking about.
It might be, right? So now we'll probably see some e-scription derivatives or some competitors, right?
Just like pin that up top so we can read that one. That'd be cool to see that.
Right. It's just like
I'll go find it.
It's just like with Ordinals and Bitcoin stamps, right? Ordinals popped up, and then stamps were like, hey, there's another way to store this. We'll just store it inside the UTXO instead of inside of the witness data.
Well, maybe they'll figure out a way to store it, you know, that's, you know, like we all know that call data could be, you know, pruned in the future. Maybe there's a way to store it that can't be pruned, and it becomes the, you know, e-stamps version.
Well, I think the big concern that I've seen is EIP 4444, where like the call data just gets wiped. Yeah. I don't know like how much of an existential threat that actually is. But do you know, John?
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's a big threat at all, honestly. The 4.4's proposal, which by the way, you have to refer to it as the 4.4s every other way that you refer.
Yeah, I saw that, dude. What's up with that, dude? Tell people the story behind that, because that's like crazy town when I heard that. Yeah.
Don't mess with the standards, people, is all I gotta say. Just follow their rules or you don't get disappeared. You'll just wake up one morning and all your Ethereum wallets will be gone from the network. You'll have no idea what happened.
What happened?
So the 4.4s people, really their whole goal is they just want to make a light client, right? They want to make it so you don't have to download like a terabyte of data to run a node, which I think is a good endeavor. All this call data, everything else will be maintained because cryptography nerds don't like getting rid of archival data at all. It's just a question of how it's going to be maintained and ensured so that everyone knows that it's a valid backup of the data. But that proposal is like nowhere near close to getting implemented, so I'm not worried about it at all. But to the earlier discussion, I pinned the tweet thread that Inu Arashi made. Basically, like he made a proof of concept and a smart contract where you can go and you can submit base 64 data and it just stores it in the smart contract. So you get a transaction ID like you do with an eScription. The difference is instead of there being call data, it's an event inside of the smart contract where it's stored. Which this is just really a proof of concept. There's no way to track who owns what, and you can submit multiple of the same event data. So it's interesting, but it really needs someone to take a look at it, fork it, and add some sort of tokenization tracking, whether it's on-chain or off-chain.
And I give all of you system engineers and protocol people props, because there's no way I would ever figure this out. So I'm excited to see where that goes, actually. But will be interesting to see the growth of eScriptions. Seems like the ERC20 ones is what has the most attention. But seeing something unique implemented into the standard, or that's like native to that protocol, I think will be the big step forward. That's not just copy pasta. So, John, maybe your ERC 721 is maybe that, and add some uniqueness to it. So it's not just punks and pepes, but will be exciting.
Is there anything other than punks and pepes, man? I don't know if there is, man. We may be living in a punks and pepes simulation.
I did throw this tweet out. I said, I think the reason why the punks, pepes, and rocks are generally like the first three is punks has the rarity, the trait rarity. Everyone knows the trait rarity system, so it's easy to just play. The rocks are for scarcity because it's 100, right? It's pretty easy to understand. And then pepes are simplicity. It's just a meme, so you can turn pepe into pretty much whatever you want. I think that's a 3. One of my friends commented on it. He said, no, it's actually, what do you call it? He said it's these 3 are most popular because it's expected extractive value from the ecosystem. I was like, kind of right too.
EV.
Expected extractive value. Yeah. So, yeah.
At this point, it's become the trifecta.
Yeah, props to all those people who cashed out and made some money. We'll see where that goes next, but where Emblem is going is a lot of places. The first thing is we'll start with our product release, which was actually teased out in a Discord recently. BitGod actually teased it out to his community in his town hall and generated a lot of excitement. Seemed like his community was actually very excited. Emblem's going to be launching a curated BRC20 product here coming pretty shortly, maybe within the next 2 weeks or so. I can't put the exact timeline because you never really know in this space, but we do believe our BRC20 product is really going to change the game. Basically, what's going to happen, and if anyone has questions, you can hop on stage or not. I'll use OXBT for an example. We're going to be launching Ordi and OXBT in unison together. With BitGod and Domo. We've already talked with both of them. So they're 100% on board with what we're doing. We'll use OXBT for an example. 200 million supply. Every vault will have exactly 2,000 OXBT. Nothing less, nothing more. If they want to do more, that's I don't know, up to them if they want to go use it for other things. So these are basically what BRC20s are. Is I call them kind of like a 4th class, right? You have NFTs, which are ERC 721s. You have ERC20s or fungibles. You have 1155s, which are semi-fungible. To me, BRC20s are kind of like composable ERC 1155s, where it's like they're semi-fungible, but then they can also be different in the amounts that they're transacted in. So if we have the same amount of 2,000 OXBT per vault, these can be traded like fungible tokens through the ERC 721 standard, which also doesn't require a transfer function or transfer inscription every time that you want to trade these. So it'll make it much more efficient. But now you're also bringing it to Ethereum, to OpenSea, and to Blur, to where people can actually farm OXBT for Blur tokens in a highly more efficient market. And so our standard royalty is going to be 1.5%, 0.5% to the creators of the BRC20s and 1% to Emblem. So we're encouraging those to go trade it on Blur because they don't have a marketplace fee. You can also farm Blur, but we're excited to see kind of where this goes. Domo and BitGod are actually very, very excited about this idea as well. It really brings and merges both those ecosystems together. of using this emerging protocol, making it more efficient, and accessing the superior financial tooling of Ethereum with smart contracts, and also just highly more efficient market. Right now, the last 24 hours of trading of BRC20s is 500,000. That's literally like 5 Pudgy Penguin trades. So
I love that analogy, man. It's literally 5 Pudgy Penguin.
Like, so that we believe that this can really just blow things out the roof for the BRC20 market cap. Go ahead, John.
How do you trade BRC20 right now? Is it OTC, or are there actual marketplaces to trade them on?
Yeah, so you could trade them on Unisat is the biggest one. It's the market is somewhat efficient. So you actually have to trade, you actually have to write a transfer inscription every time that you trade them. So the BRC20 standard, there's 3, it's a JSON file that's on an ordinal. And so there's 3 functions. There's deploy to deploy the asset, and then transfer deploy, mint, transfer are the 3 functions. So let's say you have 1 million OXBT in your wallet. If you want to send out 5,000, you have to write a transfer inscription that says, I want to send 5,000. And then that 5,000 then becomes available to either send somewhere or to list to be transacted through like PSBTs on these marketplaces. So there's there's additional steps, which makes it complicated, which I think is like a big barrier. So if you send these into Emblem Vault, which is just like an OXBT curated collection, kind of like we see with e-scriptions, but for OXBTs, you don't have to write that transfer function. And also you're just like also letting it open to the ETH degens. So with a 500,000 complete market cap or trading volume across all BRC20s, and you put these in front of Ethereum people who are just more okay with trade or letting go of their ETH versus people on Bitcoin who just don't want to use their Bitcoin to trade. They just want to hold it for the most part. It just like bridges both worlds together, which we talk about a lot, is just meeting collectors where they are and trying to create more efficient protocol standards. So we'll be doing this both together. We'll see how it goes. We're going to be doing some giveaways for Vault passes if you're owners of both. And we have some strategies that are around it. And hopefully this becomes a Blur 20 product, right? It's also a good marketing name. What do you think, Adam?
Blur 20.
Blur 20. Yeah,
this is not my thing, man. Trading the shitcoins is not my thing, but I know it is a lot of people's thing, right? Well, and yeah, I'm just excited that we can help facilitate it, bring it across to ETH. Only seems right, frankly, the home of the shitcoin. So I think and certainly getting it into the Blur infrastructure is it's really exciting, I think, from a potential transactional, how many transactions, what can actually take place, that you can stake it and earn Blur tokens and all that other stuff, which again I am not interested in, but I know there's a massive interest in, and it's exciting to be a part of that for sure.
The bridge stuff is actually popping up. So there was a bridge that just went live today, which is you could take BRC20s and turn them into ERC20 tokens, like a synthetic version. So like if you get OXBT, it would be called like EOXBT or something like that, and to go trade. So you can go access like Aave and a bunch of the DeFi protocols. Our products, right? And you're taking BRC20s and turning them into ERC721s. So you could go take it to like NFTX, or you can go take it to NFTFi, borrow against it. So there's 2 ways that teams are finding ways to go access more liquidity in the ETH market. And I think the BRC20 teams are also trying to as well, because they also don't get any royalties. I think Unisat was supposed to give them royalties, but never did. So there's a lot of frustration over there, and the DEXs for BRC20s are just not there yet. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it could be the start of a massive trend. And today we have a little bit of a smaller spaces. So you guys are getting the alpha before BitGod and Domo posted to all their followers.
Although I think you said BitGod, didn't he? He announced it in his
Discord,
and the price like doubled in like or whatever, which is funny, man. Right?
It's he announced it, and I was looking, and I was in there, and he teased it. He first teased it, and then eventually he said Emblem is the product, and the whole chat went wild, and a bunch of people started sweeping the floor immediately in light of that. So I think everyone's really feeling it. I'm feeling it. I think we'll start.
Feeling it. Jake's a true DJ. Jake's been fired up about this for a while.
I just like to I want to take these Bitcoin assets and go take it to different DeFi stuff on Ethereum. Something I've been thinking about is taking it to SudoSwap and setting up like swap pools. To me is really interesting for the most part. The ERC-21 is also interesting. Or I'd be interested if like we do get all of these, like let's say we get 50 BRC-20 curated collections going. It presents an opportunity for somebody to go build like an ERC-21 or ERC-721 kind of like NFT DeFi protocol, so that these BRC-20s can interact with. So could create lots of opportunities, or it could just be a complete dud and Bitcoin people are like, yeah, fuck this, I'm over it. I don't want to participate in it. Oh man. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, I think it's a great step ahead. All these transfer function before selling that. I think this is a big pain in the ass, right? And if you can generate a more liquid marketplace, I mean that could be a thing, right? I'm pretty bullish on that. So I'm also not same thing like Adam. I'm not a big meme coin trader, but I mean many people are, and they hate to pay a transaction before actually selling it. I mean this is completely unnecessary actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I think when we talked with Domo, who's a creator of BRC-20, he was super on board. Also, when we talked with BitGod and their team multiple times, they're also having issues either talking with centralized exchanges or the Unisat team, right? The liquidity is just not there. They're exploring DEXs. These BRC-20 teams are really exploring any way to find liquidity and to create more efficient markets. I don't think BRC-20 is going to go away. There could be like an approval or an improvement to it, the protocol at some point, but go ahead, John.
Well, so we're taking a BRC-20 and we're turning it into a wrapped ERC-721, but couldn't you guys just issue an ERC-20 that represents and is redeemable for the BRC-20 so people could then trade it on Uniswap, which would be freaking cursed?
Well, that's what the bridge is. The thing is, though, on Bitcoin, people don't want synthetic assets on the other side. They want their actual assets. So like with
okay.
Yeah.
There's obviously bridge risk. Bridges are notorious for getting hacked, right?
Yeah, so with vaults, right? It's like with the eScription thing, you can unlock it at any point and get your asset and go import it into MetaMask. The same thing is here with our Bitcoin products, is you can unlock the vault and go import the private key into any Bitcoin wallet at any point. And for Bitcoin, the culture there has a very, very high degree of like self-sovereignty and kind of ownership and authority over their assets. They don't want the synthetic version of it. And so that's why over the last 2.5 years, a lot of the Bitcoin community has actually used Emblem Vault for rare Pepes and a bunch of different types of assets to trade, because they can go unlock it at any point and bring it back to their chain. So maybe it changes because of the emerging ecosystem of Ordinals, where it's kind of a mix now between ETH, Solana, Bitcoin SV, Stacks, and Bitcoin natives kind of mixing together. Maybe that ethos does change.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know. I think there's always going to be those hardcore Bitcoiners, though, for sure, and they kind of lead the feeling of self-sovereign individual. Which, I mean, look, I'm the same way, but at the core too, I understand people are people too, and what they want to do, and they want to trade their coins and this and that. Go for it, man.
Go for it. Well, moving on to the other big announcement, probably the bigger announcement. Emblem is upgrading, per se. Excited. I don't know if anyone saw the post a few days ago where we said that Emblem has paused withdrawals or paused claims and mints for the legacy contract. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. And so we hope to kind of get into this today. And then after this, we'll be sharing the information through some of our social channels. It's just a lot easier to kind of explain. So the claiming has been paused, and there's a handful of reasons. First one I will start with is we've been thinking about this situation of legacy for quite some time. Adam and I joined the team in November, and after the curated collections had deployed, and with the recent success of ETH inscriptions, you could really see kind of where Emblem is going. But we do have this legacy collection of 50,000 assets, right? It's a very large collection of, we'll say 100 or more different collections from 12 different blockchains. The contract was deployed in 2020, so it's not gas optimized. It's not, it doesn't interact with the curated collections very well. There's a lot of inefficiencies to it. And so we created at some point this migration portal that we'd seen for rare Pepes. It wasn't public, but we've been testing it out, and we wanted to see rare Pepes and see the interaction of users with this new rare Pepe contract, where we have 20,000 rare Pepes in the legacy contract, and there's now about 300 in the rare Pepe curated collection. And it's been about 2 months since we've launched it, so users just really have no interest in moving to it, whether they're lazy or whatever the reason is.
Well, let's be clear. It's the market's dead, right? If there was money and trading there, they'd all be moving. But it's, when you get a down market and it's bear market, it's just
right.
Why would I spend, $5, $10 to transfer my NFT to a new NFT contract?
Especially if you have 200 rare Pepes vaulted. Now you have to pay the gas for each one, right? So if you have 100 rare Pepes and you're paying $10 per gas transaction, now you have to move. Now you have to pay $1,000 or like half an ETH to really just move these over into a market where there's no trading activity, because everyone's sitting on this like older contract where the discoverability is terrible. The side panel is awful, right? There's so many collections. It's like the early kind of version of art blocks, and that was where art blocks went to their model now, where they're all just curated collections essentially. So following that, we also had this integration announcement with Rare Stamps that was supposed to go live yesterday or 2 days ago. And with the integration, they were going to be minting on this legacy contract. And we've made it known for a while. We've been trying to move away from the legacy contract through a variety of ways. And so we had this moment where like, wow, okay, if this goes live, now we're going to have all the Bitcoin Stamps people minting more.
They're going to be promoting it, right? It's going to be like
promoting it when we're not trying to move away. So we had to literally like cut them off. And we made this decision to basically.
By the way, apologies to the Stamp guys. I mean, I know we were, we've apologized in private, but publicly, we understand that was painful for them. And, so yeah, sorry.
Yeah, if they're listening now, or if whenever they re-listen to it.
Yeah.
So we had to make a tough decision. We made the pause on both ends, and the reason why is because we're basically going to be moving away from it. And what this means is that the minting on the legacy contract is paused indefinitely and likely permanently. And we've also been in contact with multiple marketplaces, NFT marketplaces, OpenSea, and some of these other ones, to pause trading permanently, not now, but indefinitely at a point in the future. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be migrating all of these collections into individual curated collections. Some will be protocol based, which is what we're calling it, and some will be individual based. So the individual based would be similar to rare Pepes and Spells of Genesis that exists. The other one's a protocol based that you've seen with Cursed Ordinals and with recently with ETH inscriptions. And so there has to be some strategy behind this. And so the big question becomes, first, how are you migrating all of these, right? And then the second question is why? And so Emblem believes in this, like, we want the most decentralized products moving forward. And we've talked and reached out with multiple protocols from everything from different type of link strategies. And we've talked with like we've looked into DLCs and encryption protocols, and we've got a bunch of proposals from them. And basically everything that comes back with moving Emblem to a more decentralized model where we completely remove ourselves from the key process does not interact with the legacy contract. It's just like, it doesn't work. And so we have to get these into curated collections for us to create these more decentralized products in the future. And so we're in a standstill of users don't want to migrate for whatever reason. It's there is no trading volume. It's cost efficient, or it's not cost efficient, whatever the case is. And so, we're making a tough decision to where we're going to be migrating it for the users. themselves. So there's going to be no cost on any of the users. And we'll be doing this probably through, it's probably going to be multi weeks, could even be a month, right? It's going to be a long process that we could even go forth and say this is probably the largest NFT migration in blockchain history. 50,000 NFTs in one collection that belong to 12 different blockchains. Like from my understanding of history, I don't think I've ever seen this before. So we're taking on a very large endeavor to do this. Right. And doing this, right, it might, could freak some people out. It could it could cause some frustrations and some pushback. And we really do understand that. And so we're going to be taking questions over the time of what to do. And we are actually going to be, the claiming process is going to be live again right after this call. We're just waiting to hear back from questions for everybody. So if you do not want to participate in this migration, you don't, whatever it is, you don't trust it, you feel infringed upon, whatever, you want to bring them back to self-custodials, there is going to be a claiming period to where everybody can remove their assets and go bring them back to the native chain of their blockchain, whether it's Namecoin, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, etc. And those that remain during a specific date that we'll announce in the future to when the trading on Emblem will be paused, probably permanently, while we work with these marketplaces that we've talked with. We have to give them a specific date to when we pause those, to when the migration happens. And so basically, if I had to visualize this for you, think of Emblem Legacy as like a Boeing 747 with 50,000 passengers. And basically what we have to do while flying the plane is get these passengers into individual private jets, which are the curated collections. And so we have to do this while flying. And, it's going to be a tough process, but we do have a strategy and a way to do this, which actually doesn't even change the asset or the asset itself. It's just now those assets become pointed to a curated collection. So the keys actually never change to it. So Emblem actually does not have to access the keys at all in any way, which I know is a big concern. That's always been a big concern for a lot. But this new move to individual curated collections, which is probably going to be over 20 by the time we're done with this, is going to create a more efficient product for Emblem. It's where we want to go in the future. We want to scale. We're working with 2 devs that will probably become permanent team members after this. And then we could do all the fun stuff like creating more decentralized products, because that's what Emblem believes in. Emblem was born on Bitcoin in 2016. And so we've had to make this path to decentralization, but we cannot do it until the Emblem legacy contract is retired. And, it does hurt a little bit. You have 50,000 ETH traded on this collection, right? 12,000 unique owners. It's the 6th largest NFT collection on Ethereum. Yep. Right. So this is no easy feat, right? Making decisions on behalf of some of your users, but there's really no other option to get this done, to go to where we need to be to make Emblem Vault this, the de facto kind of vaulting strategy to go across different blockchains. But users will have the option, if they do not want to participate in this, to remove their assets. And so we'll put a date out at the future. And we'll see how it goes. We're very confident in this. It's going to be very exciting. We do believe the first collection is probably going to be Bitcoin stamps. And then moving forward. So if anyone has questions about this, we're more than open to talk about it. But yeah, Adam, what do you think about this? After we had decided, we've been mulling this over. Yeah,
it's honestly, I'm completely sold on it. Right. It's because, I understand from working with multiple, HNFT communities, trying to get people to wrap or any sort of change is really, really hard. And you're only going to get a small percentage of people who are going to do it. I mean, I don't know how many Mooncats are, moved to the new wrapper and stuff. It's just really, really difficult to get people to do this. And what this is going to do is give, for the HNFT community, this is going to be fantastic, because we know that when these collections have their own OpenSea page during the next bull run, which we're all hopeful actually occurs, you know, it's going to be real nice to see, you know, the Namecoin assets all on one OpenSea page, right? And be able to point people to very specific pages where communities can kind of rally around, I think is huge. Obviously it's big from just like a security, you know, tech upgrade to the entire smart contract. That's just a no-brainer. And I think that, you know, it's really important what you said. It's like the asset, the wallet that holds your assets, those aren't moving. It's kind of just the box that holds those assets is changing. We're pointing it to a different box. That's what we're able to do with that migration portal. And so I'm excited for it. It's good. The amount of work and the lift of it is going to be tremendous. You know, but that, you know, that's what we're here for, man. It's building the future, dude. And the future is, you know, you got to upgrade smart contracts. And, you know, the smart contract's a few years old, man, and it needs to be upgraded. And, you know, it's a tough decision. I mean, we debated this for what, 3 months, right? Were we just going to have a new kind of open contract, or are we going to move to curated? And I think, you know, Ordinals, you know, forced us to think of this curated model and move it forward really quickly. And, you know, we've had a couple things happen the last couple months that have like pressed the gas. And we're finally at this point where it's like, we saw the stamps thing coming, and it was like, when are we going to do this? You know, when's going to be a good time? There is no perfect time. You know that in business. I know that there is no perfect time. And let's rip the Band-Aid off now, get it done. And, you know, in a month from now, we're going to be in a completely new, you know, knock on wood, in a completely new place where Emblem's kind of built for the future. And I'm excited about that.
Let's make some history, baby. Let's make some history. Yeah. And the cool point too, and we're also trying to strategize. We've been teasing out there's a new Emblem UI that we've been also building as well. So the plan, if it all works out right, we're kind of working on 3 things at one time. We got the BRC20s that are coming probably within the next 2 weeks. We're working on the migration strategy of this. So we'll be, you know, releasing the claims so people can claim them. But minting is paused probably forever. Onto that contract, right? So that also takes a little bit of a hit to the business side of it. But if we can also, by the completion of the migration, we will have this new fresh UI that we've built with Emblem, which looks fucking sick. It is.
It'll work on the phone.
Yeah. And it also works. It's also compatible on mobile too. We've been testing it already. It looks similar. It looks very similar to kind of how Blur and OpenSea together. It's kind of like a mix, but we're also recreating or rethinking the vaulting idea, like what it looks like inside of a vault, and also the vault creation. So the new UI, the new UI is going to reduce the amount of clicks. That was also possible. Okay. We want you to be able to create a vault within 3 clicks is like kind of the goal. So we're taking the Amazon strategy of trying to reduce that friction as much as possible. And the curated model is exactly the way to move the path forward.
I mean, dude, look, even anybody who's done some ETH subscriptions over the last, you know, few days, dude, it's night and day easier from the legacy contract. It's so much quicker, so much faster. It's like literally like 2 clicks, you're done. It's just infinitely better, and it's only going to get better from here. So, you know, it's just amazing. Dogfather, what's up, man?
Yeah, first I have to congratulate, man. That's really a game changer for everything that's not on ETH, like Doge Party, Counterparty, Namecoin, and the like. So really appreciate all the effort. You know, I know Shannon and Desktop and all the other devs were working like around the clock, more or less, and really looking forward to moving to the new contract. And in particular, Doge Party needs some fresh blood and fresh eyes on the collection. So yeah, really, really, really cool. Big applause. And
we have been crafting these lists. Okay, how are we going to chop these up into unique curated collections? But we're open. If there are ideas out there where, you know, Dogfather's like, well, what you really need for Doge Party is you really have to carve out this and make this its own unique, beautiful curated collection. You know, we're here. So we're you know, nothing is, it's not completely finalized yet. So if the community really pushes for something, you know, it's definitely, now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah, go ahead, Ethord.
Yeah, I think this will especially help. I mean, nothing's been more frustrating for me going into Emblem Vault and trying to search for particular things, use the search bar, it'll freeze.
Totally.
There were months at a time where it just wasn't loading stuff. So it's getting, like you said, it's going to be difficult. We know there's a Mooncat wrapper that still has, I don't know, 1,000 Mooncats in it. There's going to be some that are stuck here, but it's a hard pivot to eventually get to where it needs to be. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll definitely be keeping people or the community informed about it. Like I said, this is a smaller space. So I suspect once it gets posted on Twitter and stuff, we'll really hear people's thoughts on it. But I believe most people are probably going to be really okay with it. We've even had requests of people just like, can you migrate it for me? Like that's the kind of idea, right? It goes a little bit against, of course, of how people feel about their assets, especially with holding assets of 12 different blockchains. You get literally the entire melting pot of communities. And also too, Emblem can be used for DeFi stuff and for NFT stuff. So you get all spectrums of every sorts. So we're looking to hear all types of different opinions. So excited to see that. It's going to be a big mission, but after that, on the other side, that's when, you know, a lot of fun really starts.
Bro, that's when we need a vacation, man. We got to take a vacation.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
So moving on from that, before we move to Hoarder's Corner, it looks like it says the SEC has allowed for the launch of the first leveraged Bitcoin futures ETF in the United States. So Bitcoin is up now about 4% since that's been posted. With over 31,000. I guess it's coming. Institutions are coming, man. They're coming for your for all your coins.
For your coins. They're coming for your NFTs. Don't sell them, guys. Don't sell them.
Finally, I've been in this space 7 years, man. They've been saying it, so I guess this is finally the time.
It's finally happening.
A long time coming. The is it CBOE features?
Yeah.
Or is it yeah?
Yeah, that was the first one, right? The first.
That was the first one years ago. Yeah, that actually happened.
I was rooting for CME, so I'm a little disappointed in that. But I'm just happy that there's more institutional products. That's good for my bags.
Yeah. Let's hope so. All right, so moving on then. Hoarder's Corner. So that's aren't familiar. I'll let Ethord take it away about the show. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one too. This was a special request by Jake last week, and I had some fun digging through it. It's a little more difficult when you don't have a specific kind of collection item, but this week we got Sotheby's Auction House.
Ooh.
Also, you know, this is one of the world's most renowned auction houses, and it's got a ripe history. So without further ado, it actually was founded in 1744 by Samuel Baker in London. And the auction house actually went by his name, Baker, for 30 plus years. The name Sotheby's wasn't adopted until 1778 when Sam Baker's nephew, John Sotheby, became a partner. Baker's first auction had quite the title. It was called Several Hundred Scarce and Valuable Books in All Branches of Polite Literature, which earned a whopping 826 British pounds at the time. Now that was obviously 1700s, but if we want to equate it to ETH for fun, that's just over half an ETH.
That seems like a lot. Like a lot.
Back then, half an ETH in 1778. Yeah, that's hell.
If you had invested that compounded interest, that's $85 billion.
Yeah, and exactly. Who knows? It wasn't even the reserve currency back then, I think so. I'm sure 826 could have bought you a lot. And it was kind of a cool fact too, is when I was looking at some of their early sales, when Napoleon died, they sold a handful of his books from his private library. I found that kind of interesting. That I wouldn't mind having a book on my shelf that I could brag and say that was Napoleon's back in the day. Sotheby's expanded its offerings beyond books to include artwork, antiques, jewelry, and all the other classic stuff that we know. It gained recognition with every sale, which kind of snowballed it to offering cooler and rarer items every year. They achieved several historic milestones throughout its history, breaking numerous records. One example of this, in 1958, it conducted the first multi-million-dollar auction with the sale of a Van Gogh painting. And, they've continued to embrace technology. They introduced online bidding, so you don't have to be there in person. They continue to adapt and change the market landscapes, incorporating digital initiatives and virtual sales to a wider reach of global audiences. So yeah, that's kind of the summary there. I do have a quiz. I don't know if any of you will be able to get this, but I always try to throw something in there to see. So Sotheby's and its main rival Christie's are both very similar. They were both founded in the 1700s. They've gone on to sell some of the most coveted items. They've broken records. They break each other's records consistently. But there's one thing that kind of sets the two apart from each other. Does anyone know or want to take a guess at what that might be?
I don't know.
Name?
So Christie's has always been privately held, and that allows for them to not have to disclose as much stuff to shareholders. But Sotheby's could actually buy their stock. They were a publicly traded company for decades. However, they were privately sold in 2019. So you can no longer buy their stock, which is kind of lame because when I was doing this, I was like, oh, I want to buy some Sotheby's stock just to have it, just to have that bag. But yeah, so now they're more similar than ever, I guess.
That's interesting. I wonder if Christie's has been held by the same family the whole time, or if it's traded hands a bunch of times. It's always amazing to me, you see these companies that have been around for hundreds of years. I don't even know how that's even it's just so amazing to me. I buy this pickle down here. I don't even know. It's like this German pickle. And it's since 1416. And I'm like, what? Or whatever, 1614. And I'm like, how does that even work? How do you keep that together? It's always stunning to me. Things that are able to go on for hundreds of years like this. It's incredible.
What sets this pickle apart?
It's a delicious pickle. I don't know, man, but it's
pickle.
When you have the magic sauce for 400 years.
Is this something you buy at a farmer's market?
No, it's just at the regular grocery store. I don't even know the brand. I don't even know what it is. It's this green logo with some yellow kind of writing to it. And they make a delicious little pickle. I don't know, man. But the name on the thing is literally 16 something. And I'm I don't even know. I mean, it could all be BS. Who knows? But I just don't even know how it, I get it. Okay, it's a corporation. It passes down, but the way it is, man. If I pass down my soap company to my kid, the odds of it making it one more generation are almost zero, right? It's almost zero. And the odds of it making 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 generations, it's impossible. It's almost impossible. So I'm always impressed by ones that are able to hold it together for, 100 years is amazing. Multiple hundreds of years is it's almost beyond belief.
There's just something about auctions, man, that's just is timeless. I don't know what it is. Just exciting. Even when we did the Curse Ordinals auction last week.
Yeah, it's
fun. Exhilarating. It was fun. I don't know what it is about it. It just hits something about human psychology that it just is timeless.
Yep.
It's like a sporting event, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's exciting, and then someone throws in some offer, and the crowd gasps, and then you're into it more. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, I have to say, when I sold my Mooncats at Sotheby's at the end of 2021, it was just completely digital one, but there was 53 auctions, and just the energy of selling alongside, it was Paris Hilton, Steve Aoki, and then you had the NFT guys like Pranksy and Nate Alex and Token Angels and stuff. Although it wasn't as much of a success we wanted, the live the live Twitter Spaces that Farouk was hosting during that auction was really exhilarating. It was so much energy. I think and it also just like encourages more bids,
For sure.
which is fun.
For sure. I think obviously for artists, now that they've become Sotheby's, Christie's, this like, it's like a stamp of approval, right? If you land there, you've made it. And obviously for a lot of NFT projects, that was the vibe, right? Well, you've made it. And, Max from Curio Cards, and I know all those Curio guys. For a lot of those artists, this was like the thrill of a lifetime, right? It's like full justification of what you've been doing your whole life. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, look at like Robeck. Robeck has built off of that Christie sale and just become like his own person now. He's even like transcended just being a Curio Card artist, but used that leverage to now become this like prestigious collector, and especially with like anime NFTs and stuff.
100%.
What do you guys think was the biggest NFT auction? Because what comes to mind is there was obviously the People one. I think there's an Alien one, right? And then there was some historical ones as well. What do you think propelled it the most?
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. So this will be interesting to hear the differences. I would say the most exhilarating one probably had to be the Curio Card one or the Gary V one. That was like at the very end of like the auctions that had happened. They were both on the same date. The Curio Card sold for like 1.2 million to Taylor Gehring, who's like one of the Ethereum co-founders. I don't remember what the Gary V one sold for. I think it was $1 million too. But I think there was just so much attention on it at that point. The NFT space had been blowing up that it was just like everybody was watching that. When we watched the Curio Card, the live stream had thousands of people watching it on YouTube. It was wild.
I mean, that might have been the top right there, right? Yeah. It really was. But yeah, I think that was well for us in the HNFT community and stuff. That was kind of like the peak, right? I don't know. For me, the most important is the Beeple one because that's the one that pierced the mainstream, And I know Metakoven, like, it's almost like insider dealings to like pump his own bag and all that sort of stuff. And I don't disagree. But at the same time, that one, pierced society and the culture. And so I think that one's probably going to live on as like the awareness builder for NFTs.
It was I have to say the Sotheby's Metaverse 1.2, the one that I was involved with. You had the Pepe Nopolis card sold for $3.5 million. You had one of Mitchell Chan's IKB sold for $1 million. You had some of the Crypto Kitties that sold. There was a lot of like vintage NFTs that really just it gave it this prestigious value now, which was really cool to see. But the Pepe Nopolis, that was the highest selling one, $3.5 million. I think that still stands as the highest for a Pepe sale. And when that bid hit, dude, it was insane. Whether it's like that was all planned or not, I mean, probably It was probably all planned and coordinated, but that set just like a massive premium on these like one of one rare Pepes. And I think the last one of one just sold for $600,000 to Punk 6529 like during NFT NYC. But that one was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, the Goose one recently was huge too. You're right about the Beeple. For me, that's what stands out, and that happened right before the rediscoveries and everything, and it was or at least maybe not the actual auction, but announcing it, and there was that stain of Metakovan buying it, and I believe him and Justin Sun were going back and forth, and I just wish Justin won it because maybe looking back, it would be a better kind of vibe.
Yeah, Justin Sun threw down on some HNFTs. I think he bought two IKBs from Leo for like $500,000 each or something like that. Just thrown down.
About Leo's beach house, bro.
Yeah.
That was good.
You guys want to jump into the notable sales?
Yeah.
All right, let's do. If anyone wants to go on YouTube and check out some of these images of them, there's some cool looking ones. We got the media links there if you need to open them, Jake. But we'll start with the 1933 Double Eagle coin. This sold for $18.9 million, which equates to just over 10,000 ETH. Now I'm thinking, okay, what's so special about this double eagle coin? I'm thinking it was a misprint, and maybe this particular coin had two eagles overlapping each other, because I know that's happened in a lot of other coins. But I am fascinated by this coin, looking into it. This is now my favorite coin of all time. So it's also officially the world's most valuable coin, but the history behind it is way cooler than the other two. So the seller purchased this coin for $7.6 million in 2002, and then sold it for basically 19 million. So that's a whopping $11.31 million return in, I don't know, like 15 years. So that's pretty awesome. But what makes this coin, this $20 double eagle coin, so special is it was the last gold currency struck in the United States due to President Theodore Roosevelt's 1933 Executive Order 6102. So this executive order called for all gold coin production to cease and to melt down any remaining unreleased coins. About 20 coins were stolen from the minting factory, leading to all sorts of investigations by the U.S. Secret Service, warrants, arrests, confiscation. They basically found every single one of these coins that were stolen, the 1933 ones, and got them all back, except for maybe 3 from my research. And so 2 of those are in museums. And then this is the only one that anyone could ever own publicly. So it says, this is the only one that a private person can lawfully own due to a legal battle between the U.S. Treasury and the coin's previous owner.
Interesting.
So that's pretty crazy. A one-of-one gold coin from 1933, and it's, there's an image of it. You can see there's a couple scratches, but it's in pretty darn good condition. And just
it's awesome. Amazing they couldn't get it back when it was stolen, right? This is one of these interesting quirks in history, right? But I mean, you look at it, it's like people are like, well, where's the value? The value is in the story, right? It's like this story of the end of gold, confiscation in the US, all this government overreach, and like here you have this piece of history which is just like the capstone. I mean, this is like the whole history summed up in an item that you can actually own, and obviously that's where the value is. It's amazing.
I think you put it perfectly. I get the chills thinking about this coin as a movie, right? Because you're telling the story, and the story is fascinating, right? We're talking about the Depression. We're talking about Theodore Roosevelt saying, everyone's broke. We can't be offering gold coins. The value is worth more than the coin now. And on top of that, you have this basically heist, right? Imagine these people that worked at this U.S. minting facility creating these, and then this thing comes through, and they all need to be melted, and a gang of people decide, hey, let's steal a couple of these, right? And they do, and then of course you get the fat arm of the U.S. government law finding out, okay, who are all the employees that work there, and conducting these investigations to find who were the ones that were heisting it. And then it all ends up, I don't know exactly the history of how this one person got the right lawyer to convince the government that, this one, for whatever reason, cannot be taken and can be owned, but it was the only one, right?
Very cool.
So, all right, let's jump to the next one. I'll go through this one quickly. It's the Williamson Pink Star Diamond. It sold for $58 million. That's 30,815 ETH. This is one of the world's purest and most saturated pink diamonds. And if you recall back to a previous Hoarders Corner, we did the Barbie episode. There was a pink diamond in that. And I'd never heard of the pink diamond before, but now I know all about it. And these things are, I guess, the most coveted, coolest gems ever. They're very pink. This one is the most vibrant, best color that's ever sold. So it's actually the second most valuable jewel ever sold at auction, just behind another Pink Star Diamond. But this one sold for more per carat. So it's like more pristine. It's just not quite as big of a diamond as the record-breaking one. That was $71 million for this ridiculously expensive.
How many ETH is that? Do you know?
It's 1 trillion ETH. It's all the ETH.
The entire supply.
I 71, but at 58's 30,000, right? So it's got to be one. almost 50.
Yeah.
All right.
50,000
So the Grail, if you will, and this one's pretty epic. The Edvard Munch framed 1895 pastel of the Scream. Now, if anyone, just the name, the Scream, I think
Everybody knows this one, man. Yeah.
right. To be honest, the name, if I just said Edvard Munch, I wouldn't even think.
Yeah, nobody. I don't even know that. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. He doesn't have the same name value as Monet, Picasso, Van Gogh, all those. But the Scream, just, I mean, that alone, that's all you got to see. You know what it is. So this sold for basically $120 million, which is 63,703 ETH. You would be one of the biggest whales if you had that much ETH. And at the time, it became the world's most expensive work of art to ever sell at Christie's, to ever sell at an auction house, but has since been passed a few times by some Christie's sales, which I can't get into because we're just talking about Sotheby's. But yeah, that's pretty epic. It's awesome. And there we have it. That's our Hoarder's Corner.
Everyone knows this painting. I think there's also been a lot of NFT derivatives that represent this. I think there's a Rare Pepe one that actually is modeled off of the screen.
Dude, it's like a memeable painting, man. I mean, just that idea. I mean, when I'm seeing it, I'm thinking of. Oh, you want to mute that?
Edvard Munch's 1895 pastel, The Scream.
Oh, I'm hearing it. Yeah, I just when I look at that painting, I think of Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. You know, where he smacks his cheeks and goes, "Oh!" You know, that's like, yeah. But it's iconic, man. So it's so hard to be iconic, right? And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that big sale which brought it into like public consciousness, right? Where I probably saw it in the New York Times or something, and people see it, and you know, now the world knows about it, and it's you know, we see it in the NFT space. What's going to be the thing that kind of breaks you into the culture, that crosses the chasm to this awareness where it can gain awareness traction, and it's hard to do. And I don't know what's up with my camera. I think I'm overheating here, Jake. I think I've been on too many shows, bro.
Oh,
the camera I think is like dying on me, bro. I think
that's okay. I wanted to throw up a tweet actually because we are talking about history and stuff. Every once in a while, I go and check out on our good old historical NFTs. I threw this tweet up yesterday. Mooncats are still at 0.22 ETH a year later. But all the other cat NFTs are now literally almost the same price. You have Gutter Cat Kings at 0.64, but they're 3,000, right? So that would be the equivalent of Mooncats 10x from here, which would be, right, 2 ETH. You have Cool Cats are now down to 0.63, which is 10,000, right? So it'd be almost the same price. It'd be like 0.25. It'd be almost the same price as what Mooncats are because Mooncats are 25,000.
Yep.
You have Tubby Cats that are literally down at the floor, 0.04. And then you have Mooncats, right? So probably the largest Mooncat or cat collection now by market cap. So as everyone was shitting on Mooncats during the bull run, they get the last laugh in the in the bear market, right? I guess this is like, it goes back to collecting too. I also put this out that the Genesis Mooncat floor is almost still at 20 ETH floor too.
It's amazing, man.
It's been at the same floor for even with buying happening. It's been at 20 ETH peg for probably about 6 months now. So it leads me to, you know, this discussion and kind of just like conversation about historical NFTs, or just like, I guess during bull runs, you want to get on the speculative stuff. But as we had said on the way down, you want to be owning some historical NFTs because they're pretty much just like a stable coin.
Yeah, it's so interesting too. Like I just, you know, you start thinking about, well, what's going to be, you know, which one's going to be the Scream? Which one's going to be the one that's going to kind of pierce this consciousness again? And I guess for that, we kind of look back to what the ones that have before. And you can also look at like, well, which ones have these large communities, which are going to chat them up next time. And obviously Mooncats has a huge community. You know, you just look at these ones, which ones do. And obviously the communities have all gone kind of silent. I mean, you jump in the Curio Discord, and there's, you know, 5 of us remaining in the Curio Discord. But then you think about it and you go, well, there were 5, but there's also, another 1,000 or 1,500 people that have gone away because the market's gone away and the hype's gone away. But if the hype comes back again, which we all are hopeful it will, those people are going to rush back in, right, to talk about it, chat it up. So it's interesting to think about, and it's certainly going to be exciting to take part of next time this thing comes around.
Well, I am holding Mr. Moo until at least 1,008. So that is literally the whole, outside of Mooncat 0, Mooncat number 6, Mr. Moo that I own, I paid a lot for. I'm holding until dear life. I know that is the holy grail of them all. The first named Mooncat. That was my conviction bet when I went into Mooncats, was that it's the largest historical NFT community. So therefore, whenever the meta or narrative shifts to historical NFTs, that's probably going to be the collection that everyone owns. And it's also been pegged from owners too. It's still at 5,800 owners, which has also been the same. So there's literally just been an even amount of people getting in and getting out, which is just like a consolidation range when you think about it. That's kind of what it is. But the fact that the owners haven't gone down and that the price is still the same shows me that there's still interest in it. It's just the speculators are leaving and the other people are accruing. So I know like Black Star and Mooncat Maxi are like, their goal is 100 Mooncats. I think Mooncat Maxi has over 100. I know Black Star's goal is to get 100. And I've been holding mine for dear life. I just like, I think I'm down to like 40. I was at like 150 at one point. Oh man, it took quite some time. That was my biggest learning of, if you have a lot of NFTs, you buy them up thinking of the speculation. But man, when you're trying to get out of NFTs, you realize that it takes a lot longer than what you had expected. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, I mean, talking about historical NFTs, right? The one of the big stories was also, about Ape Yacht Club going below 40. I think now they are 37, way below CryptoPunks. I think that's the narrative of historical NFTs, right? They don't expect yet another drop, yet another coin, yet whatever. They're just there, right? They're artifacts. They have strong communities, and they cannot be rugged. I think that will be clear to many during these times, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rare. So us moving and migrating these all to individual collections, right? I think that'll help accelerate that narrative, because now it's just an easy way for people to just like, you just send the collection name. I'm excited, honestly. My Doge Party bags are so heavy. I'm waiting for that narrative to come. I was certain when I first came across Doge Party, I was like, oh, Dogecoin NFTs, this is such an easy layup. It's just like making it accessible to everybody is really, I think, what holds it back.
Accessible and the story, right? It's like, again, it's just really, really hard to pierce and get enough eyeballs where you get that momentum going to break a narrative or create a new narrative. And I mean, the easiest one to show is V1 Punks, right? Where literally like a year people were trying to bring those back and make awareness and whatever, and it just didn't work. And that all changed with like one tweet from Lava Labs, right? And narrative changed, flipping, and new price, new world, right? New collector base, new everything.
Yeah, V1 Punks are definitely one of the leaders for sure in the historical NFT spot. And that just has like such a solid narrative.
Oh, yeah.
If we remember with the Gary V pump, man, all Gary V took was one tweet from Gary V to really just send the whole market, the whole historical NFT market, which is like all-time highs.
True.
So it's really all you need to get that again. As we remember, right, some of the biggest holders of historical NFTs is Daryl Morey, right, the president of 76ers, Matt Kalish, who created DraftKings, right? So it kind of follows this like standardized kind of Sotheby's models we're talking about, where it's generally older people who appreciate history. It's kind of like what it is.
That's exactly right, man.
So you just got to make it accessible to them. And most of them were buying through Emblem Vault too, right? That kind of just shows, it's just like, put it in front of me and let me load my MetaMask up with hundreds of ETH to just start going on a frenzy.
That's
right.
Right.
I don't think Matt or Daryl Moore have sold any of them since. They're just the collectors. They're just like, I'm gonna buy it and I'll come back to this in like 10 years.
Well, they realize, I mean, we all realize too, we talked about it endlessly, right? This is not built one cycle. I mean, you could flip out in that first cycle, but there's going to be these are going to be cycles, and we've seen it before. Seen it with rare Pepes. It's just history. This is just repeat, rinse and repeat. We know it's going to happen unless crypto somehow magically dies or knock on wood. But other than that, crypto's going to have more adoption, and historical NFTs. It's just a matter of being able to wait it out, man.
Yeah, if you can hold it. I mean, that guy who sold the coin, right? He held on to it for 16 years. That's a long time, but a really nice premium. Yeah, should be really exciting. But I think that's kind of wrapping it up, right? This week is history, I guess. Yeah, a lot of stuff coming. I'm going tonight, Azuki Vegas, dude. They rented out Hakkasan nightclub. I worked in the biggest nightclub in Vegas for 5 years as a busser. Not once was that club ever rented out on a Friday night. These guys probably threw up at least $1 million for this event to rent out Hakkasan nightclub on a Friday during the summer. Like, this is, I am very, very impressed to see what happens. So I'll definitely be tweeting about it today as I go to this event to see what kind of Azuki degens. I heard they're like giving gift bags to everyone who comes in too or something. And they're supposed to do I guess the rumor is they're supposed to have some sort of NFT drop during it or something like that. I don't know. All the NFT influencers are in town. So I'm going to go try to show them some historical NFTs, I guess.
Very cool, man. Sounds awesome.
We'll see how it goes. I got invited. There's like a bunch of Azuki holders down here, and they're like, "We have a ticket. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." So we'll see. Go hang out with Thread Guy and stuff. So it should be interesting. Any final words from the rest of the speakers before we head out and call it a day?
All right, they're done, bro. Let's go. Let's hit it.
We got a migration coming. We'll share some more details. Also post about the claiming stuff today that anyone could go remove their assets if they don't want to participate. And we'll discuss it over the week as we talk. But we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.